All right. This is RamView. I'm Joe Terosian, and for the next 15 to 20 minutes, I'm going to talk Rams football with you. And I just want to say thank you for clicking on and everyone who's saying a lot of nice things about me that I probably don't deserve. But it is a lot of fun doing this. I can't think of anything more fun to be doing this, to talking football. Never thought I'd be doing it with the Rams posting up after a Rams Super Bowl win. It's just one of those things you dream of when you're a kid, that you'd be to football about your team, and but you make those choices, and now you get to. So the question came to me though was okay, Joe, you were posting all kinds of stuff, you were doing everything between now and last and between the seasons, between the games and going forward in the playoffs and the Super Bowl. What are you going to do now? The calendar's 2 days removed from the Super Bowl victory. And I'll tell you this, guess what? Like I said yesterday, everyone's moving on. The idea that you think anyone's going to stay and wait for you, the idea that you think the world stops revolving just because you won a title or something even bad happened to you, or you left a job. The world keeps on spinning, and that's one of the things we have to understand. I wrote my book, Tangent Dreams. I guess I'm doing a plug now. I usually plug it at the end. It's a football book. It's about a high school football player, and he coming to grips with one season ends and another one's going to begin, but no one remembers what happens in the past. And the fat guy, overweight, old sports writer is standing next to him on the sidelines, and the old sports writer tells him, "Hey, man, everybody goes. It's a short window. Only the fat guys like me get to stick around." And that's what it is. The world moves on. And so 2 days after the Super Bowl, still talking a little bit about Logan Wilson, Jalen Ramsey, and the Rams winning. But you know what? Right now, it's all about the scouting combine, free agency, the draft. The football season doesn't end. It just starts next season. And the next season has just begun. There's all kinds of stuff to talk about today. You've got the NFL stuff going on. You got Sean McVay and the ambiguity of, is he coming back or is he not coming back? And my question would be, okay, he can leave, but where would he go? Honestly, okay, he can go to the sound booth and be the guy on ESPN or the NFL Network and designing, and he's probably the next Madden, next Gruden doing that. Okay, but don't you think at his age he still wants to coach and create that legacy? And so, any team would want him, but what team is he going to go to that has a two-tier structure of less needs scouting department, and on top of that, an owner like Stan Kroenke? And then also, after you've been bombarded with the glitz and blitz of Los Angeles, wow, can any other place really make up or equal Los Angeles? So that stuff we could talk about. It's fluff. Kyler Murray, there's part of me, I don't like his body language. I just don't. I don't like some of the stuff I'm hearing about him. And I don't know. I haven't followed too much of it because I've been focused on the Rams. But was there an implication there than some of the stuff I've read that because he doesn't have a long-term contract, which I understand him wanting, that's why he stayed in the pocket and didn't run in a playoff game? Was that what that was? And I'll take correction on that. I'm not sold 100% on Kyler Murray. We could talk more about that going forward. But the one I'm getting now is from my friends. I got a couple of friends, I got a guy named Rob out in Missouri I grew up with, who is, okay, now you won. You don't have any draft picks and no future. Right? This guy's a Steeler fan who hasn't been to the Super Bowl since 2010, who doesn't have a quarterback, who's not going anywhere right now anytime soon. But he's slamming the Rams that they don't have any draft picks and no future. And, there's a lot of folks like that. I call them the unwashed, their cry never ends. They just don't understand. And I hate to say that because it sounds like the rest of us are smarter, but maybe we just have a more nuanced approach, or we just look at it a little more with some cold deadliness, is that the Rams are in a perfect place right now. They're really in a good place. And we got some really cool stuff to talk about. And to backtrack here with the Rams, remember this, the Rams have gone. Sean McVay has never had a number one draft pick. 2017 through 2021, the Rams have not had a number one draft pick, okay? The Rams have been battling salary cap issues since 2018. And in that time, they've got 4 playoff appearances, 3 division titles, 2 Super Bowl appearances, and a Super Bowl win. What the Rams are doing, and Les Snead deserves a ton of credit for the scouting department he's put together, not just scouting physically, the talent, but scouting players who mentally and emotionally fit in with what the Rams are trying to do. He does not just bring in any player, but he's bringing in the right player. All this has proved sustainable by trading their first round picks for proven players, proven NFL players. The Rams have avoided unproductive first round busts, and everyone will tell you it's a roll of a dice. You don't know who's going to be a success or not. But they've avoided those first round busts, as well as they've avoided spending first round money. And as long as they keep hitting on those second or third round on down draft picks, this will be sustained. Another thing that has been remarkable in the McVay era, and it's good fortune, providence, whatever you want to say, that has allowed the sustainability, is the Rams have not had a catastrophic injury at quarterback at all in the McVay era. Whether it's Jared Goff or Matthew Stafford, that stability really helps. Between 2000 and 2016, 17 seasons there, the Rams started 20 different quarterbacks at the position. 20 different. Now, a couple of those were Kurt Warner, a couple of those were Mark Bulger, but a lot of them were Scott Covington and Brock Berlin and Keith Null and Kellen Clemens and a lot of guys there that probably shouldn't have been in the NFL. Since the McVay era, the blessing for the Rams have been that has allowed the sustainability. It's been Goff and Stafford. Sean Mannion started the final game of 2017, but that was in preparation for the playoffs, and he wasn't going to play. The Rams were resting starters, and then of course last year Goff was hurt, and Wolford started the Week 16 or the Week 17 game finale against the Cardinals for his moment in the sun. But the Rams have had stability at quarterback. For Goff, whatever thing you want to say about him, Goff was 2 things. Goff was very calm presence. He didn't make right decisions all the time, but Goff was calm and he was healthy. Stafford took a beating this year at several occasions, and a lot of people think he's hurt, but Stafford was out there. And so that's sustainability. The other area, going back to the draft, what the Rams have done is people are saying, oh, the Rams, and my friend from Missouri is saying the Rams don't have any draft picks. Well, the Rams in this 2022 draft, thanks to some compensatory picks, or Brad Holmes leaving to Detroit, John Johnson going to Cleveland, Troy Hill going to Cleveland, Samson Ebukam going up to Frisco and stuff like that, because of compensatory picks. The Rams, after all their wheeling and dealing, when everyone says they don't have draft picks, they have a 3rd round pick, a 4th round pick, 3 6th round picks, and 2 7th round picks. Now, before you say, well, wow, there's no first day picks there, and on the second day you don't get a pick until the 3rd round. Yeah, you can say that, but let's just remember this: the Rams just won the Super Bowl. All right, the Rams just won the Super Bowl. Did you know that in the 3rd round the Rams got Kupp? In the 3rd round, the Rams got Darrell Henderson. In the 3rd round, the Rams got Joseph Noteboom, who didn't play. He was injured. 3rd round, the Rams got David Long Jr. And in the 3rd round, the Rams got Ernest Jones, who was excellent in the Super Bowl. All those players, with the exception of Noteboom, contributed in the Super Bowl. Did you know in the 4th round, even though he was hurt, the Rams got Tyler Higbee? In the 4th round, they got Bryson Hopkins, who really saved the day in the Super Bowl, very unsung. Did you know in the 4th round, they also got Brian Allen at center, who had a top 10 center year this year? Robert Rochelle, who didn't play in the Super Bowl but contributed this year, was a 4th round pick. Greg Gaines, who was Pro Bowl caliber playing with the Rams this season along that defensive line, was a 4th round pick. Did you know that Jordan Fuller, who was a surprise, outstanding player in 2020 and was excellent this year? Well, excellent last year, very good this year, got injured. That Jordan Fuller was a 6th round pick. In fact, Jordan Fuller was the Brady pick. He was at 199. Sebastian Joseph Day had an excellent season before getting hurt. He played a couple of snaps on Sunday. He was a 6th round pick. Did you know Nick Scott, the starting safety, the one that lit it up in the playoffs this year, he was a 7th round pick? Did you know that Traven Howard, who intercepted the pass in the NFC Championship game and filled in did some great work this postseason? Did you know he was a 7th round pick? Ben Skoranek, who's not everyone's crazy about, but did contribute this year. He was a 7th-round pick. Jake Funk, they got clicks out of him. And I'm not even mentioning Cam Akers, who was a 2nd-round pick. Rams don't have a 2nd-round pick next year. But Cam Akers and Taylor Rapp were found in the 2nd round. In the 5th round, the Rams have had help from Havenstein, David Edwards at guard, and Ogo Okoronkwo at edge. And they were all 5th-round picks. The Rams don't have a 5th-rounder next year. So this is what works for the Rams. As they keep hitting those smaller level things, the sustainability is there. They're not paying 1st-round money. So there's 1st-round money available to certain standout NFL players who are looking to make a move in their career, who have maybe made their dough and are looking for an opportunity to collect that ring. And so it's really fascinating to see how the Rams keep doing this Ram model. And then when you get to 2023, the Rams have a 2nd-round pick, a 3rd-round pick, a 5th-round pick, 2 6th, and a 7th-round pick. And all that is before compensatory compensation for anyone they might lose this season. The Rams also have a lot of dead money coming off the books. I believe a lot of that is Brandon Cooks, Todd Gurley, Jared Goff. Much of that is coming off, if not all of it. The salary cap gets tricky, so I want to be careful, because when you say, "Oh, it can't happen," Les Snead waves his magic wand and says, magic money Leviosa, and he produces all this magic money, and the Rams suddenly find a way. The league cap is supposed to go up from 182.5, and that was down about $9 million because of the COVID year in 2020. And they believe it's going to be set at about 208 this coming off season. So that again offers the Rams a little more room. Different sites dedicated to tracking and speculate on salary cap issues. That's specifically this stuff. Have the Rams with 2.5 to 3 million to work with. That's not a lot when you think of their free agents. But again, haven't the Rams always been one thing? Creative. And so that's something to keep the Rams and the Rams faithful optimistic about the future. You also had players like Whitworth, Stafford, Jalen Ramsey, who renegotiated their contracts, restructured them, just so the Rams could bring in some other players during the course of the season, because it was about the ring. And again, that's finding the individuals. This is where Les Snead doesn't get enough credit, because someone's doing the psych eval, the emotional eval, and finding that the right players with the right mindset want to come in, and they're finding hidden value in a player like OBJ, right? OBJ was taboo. Talent there. His attitude, no, but something about the Rams knew that OBJ would be a fit, and they went after him in spite of what everybody, including myself, said. Now, when you look at the Rams free agents, these are the things that are concerned. Right along the line, there are 3 free agents, 2 starters, and a potential retiree that the Rams have to consider. We know about Andrew Whitworth. It looks like he's going to retire, and that's interesting. But as far as free agents, the Rams have gotten great clicks out of Austin Corbett. I mentioned Brian Allen at center, but they're free agents. And after watching the Super Bowl, while we like them, the Rams got to the Super Bowl with them. Are they someone you want to break the bank for at the expense of somebody else? Remember this, too, in terms of Brian Allen, is that nobody wanted Brian Allen to play center this year. Everyone was looking to Creed Humphrey in the draft, or looking to sign somebody else, because when they let Austin Blythe go, it was just, they were thinking Austin Corbett was going to move to guard. If you remember that, no one outside the organization believed in Brian Allen. And look what they did. They got I think Allen was ranked 9th or 7th in terms of centers overall by Pro Football Focus. They got a lot of clicks out of Brian Allen. But now he's a free agent, and it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. Joseph Noteboom, who has filled in remarkably well the last 2 seasons. He's a free agent. He was injured. He got to shine a little bit in the playoffs, but he didn't get a chance to play in the Super Bowl. He's got a pec issue, and that's a little lingering thing there. But I got to imagine that the market for him is going to be pretty good. Pending what happens with Whitworth, you'd really like to see the Rams retain him. I would. or maybe they've got somebody else in mind, or maybe there is a book on Noteboom that maybe he does get chinked up, banged up a little bit, and they have to go another direction. So that's something to think about as well. But he's on the block. OBJ on offense, of course. Unfortunately, his injury. He was saying already he was willing to come to the Rams and play for less, but now he had likely a torn ACL in the second week of February. How far does that put him down the scale as far as returning to the field this fall? It's the same knee that he injured before. It was non-contact. It was on a plant. That just makes you nervous. And in one sense, maybe that makes him even more possible for the Rams to bring him back. There's a lot of receiver talent. There's always receiver talent, free agent and in the draft. And for a receiver pushing 30 years old with 2 knee injuries, there might not be the market for OBJ that there had been probably up until about the 3 minute and 51 second mark to play in the second quarter on Sunday. And so OBJ, I don't know. I'm kind of optimistic there that they could get him back. But again, when will we get him back? Do we get him back start of the season, halfway through the season? It'll be interesting to see if they do re-sign him. But to me, he seems like a possibility because I don't see a big market for him right now. Sony Michel, you love Sony Michel, but the Rams got Akers and Henderson under contract, and Sony Michel might want more than a one year deal or a 2-year deal, and might make more than one rock, which is $1 million a year. And so he might want to go someplace where there's more playing time and he make a little bit more money. So it doesn't look good there. Great questions about Darius Williams. Fantastic in 2020. Don't know. He's a free agent right now, and he had a so-so year. Good, not great. Ogo Okoronkwo, the Rams are kind of deep with Justin Hollins and Terrell Lewis. And, if they bring back Vaughn, Leonard Floyd, the Rams have edge guys. And, they also drafted Chris Garrett to be an edge guy. He didn't play much this year at all. So Okoronkwo now, heading into his 5th year in 2022, might want to flex his legs a little bit and get some more playing time, a la Samson Ebukam did last year. Sebastian Joseph Day, he's another one. Greg Gings has another year. Ashawn Robinson's there for depth. Of course, I think the Rams would want to keep all these players, but Joseph Day is looking for a payday now. He's got his ring. Now he wants a payday. You can't fault any of these players. They got their ring. They need a payday. Von Miller, he's one that you can think that, hey, is he going to chase some rings? Awesome. That would be great. He might be willing to take a little less. You hope they can keep him. Travon Howard, he's a free agent. Didn't really get much playing time in the Super Bowl. Might want more playing time now in his career and wants to get a payday. Dante Dion, and Troy Reeder. They're all free agents. And now I don't know if there's a market for those guys. And if there's not a market, there's a good chance they could re-sign. But I think with everything we've seen this season, we'd like to see Reeder's role diminished as we saw in the Super Bowl. Another one to think about is Matt Gay. Had a fantastic season, and he's making less than one rock a year. I think he was only making $800,000 this year. He's going to want his payday too, and so keep those things in mind. And here's the other one that's the more of the stinger is that when you lose a free agent, like everyone expected to lose John Johnson last year, and that was a real bummer, right? I can remember being writing in my column and talking to friends online saying, it's just, if they could just find any way to keep JJ. But JJ had played out his contract, was looking for a payday, and it was only right. And he got a good payday that the Rams couldn't afford. Now the Rams, again, were loaded at safety. So it was easy for them to say with Taylor Rapp, Jordan Fuller, Nick Scott, Terrell Burgess, with these guys that they already had, it was much easier for them to let John Johnson go. And then, of course, Troy Hill went because they were looking for their payday. So sometimes you lose players, and you understand that. But when you lose players that have to be cut because of salary cap issues, that's when it's tough. And a lot of players have to be cut because of the position they play and the money they make. And they're a little bit easier to replace, or there's more depth there. There was nothing about John Johnson's playing that made the Rams want to get rid of him, but the position had depth and he cost too much money. One site listed that Ashawn Robinson, who would be a 5.5 rock hit against the salary cap. Is a possible cut. Now, I wonder when they wrote that and they compiled that, did they see A'Shawn Robinson down the back stretch of the season? Did they see him in the playoffs? Did they see him on Sunday? Because you'd really hate to see the Rams lose him. He's made decent money. I don't know if he's going to make much more money. He is a run stuffer. He's not an edge guy, so he's not a glam position. So maybe there's not a market for him. And if the Rams cut him, they could bring him back at a lower rate. But you'd really hate to see that. But keep an eye on A'Shawn Robinson. The other one that I didn't see mentioned, but there's a real possibility, is Johnny Hekker. Not because of the dropped point after on Sunday, but he makes good dough. I think 3 rocks, and he renegotiated to come back down. He makes about $3 million to play punter, but he's barely an above average punter at this point in his career. And I read up on him, and he's a 3 rock cap hit, but only a 1 rock dead cap hit. And so the Rams could save some money by giving him the boot, so to speak, to the punter. And that would hurt because you like Johnny Hekker, but there's going to be casualties here, and you just have to get ready for it. Other notables that cap experts have discussed as possibly, taking the long walk out of town. Rob Havenstein, which to me, as long as I got Matt Stafford at quarterback and I'm up in the air at left tackle, I don't want to mess with Rob Havenstein. Havenstein, who is restructured, I think down from 10 to 8. You'd hate to see Rob's Havenstein be a casualty here. And Robert Woods is another one. His name came up, but I don't know if Robert Woods' name is as floating anymore because now OBJ, because if the Rams do retain OBJ, they're going to need Robert Woods because I don't see OBJ making it back during the summer or the early fall. And then, of course, the emotional aspect of losing Robert Woods. The one player that I do think could be on the block is Taylor Rapp, the newly engaged Taylor Rapp. Congratulations to him. And you have to keep an eye on that again. What do the Rams really want to do with Terrell Burgess? You don't know. They didn't play him a lot, but he would be another safety there. Nick Scott, Jordan Fuller coming back. So the Rams would already have some depth at that position. And you have to wonder, Taylor Rapp, what he makes now and versus his keeping him on the roster at this point, he could be a casualty. And of course, the pending retirement of Andrew Whitworth. I think that would save the Rams something like 13 bills if he retired. And it's an awful thing to say because he's playing so well, but what are you going to do? You keep paying Andrew Whitworth his money, and then you let Noteboom walk, or you got to let Havenstein walk, and those guys still have tread on their tires. Where Whitworth, he's 40 years old. Obviously one of the best left tackles in football. I will say, when the Rams signed him so many years ago, I said, how much does this guy have left? Well, I was clearly wrong. And so you might want to just keep that in mind that maybe Andrew should retire. So the Rams will still have some flexibility under the cap to keep some of these guys and not lose them. That's kind of the bad news. The good news is there's reason to hope Von Miller and OBJ will re-sign for less than deals because they've made their dough and are interested in legacy and rings. We think about the guys we lost last year. I mentioned Johnson. I mentioned Troy Hill, Gerald Everett, Morgan Fox, Samson Ebicam. They didn't make their money and were not inclined to just play for a ring. They needed to take advantage of this spot in their career, and they moved on. So there are going to be players that move on. And so after Miller and OBJ, that literally puts every other free agent on the roster potentially on the move. I think Matt Gay might be safe, depending on what somebody else offers him, but I think he might save. Howard, Reeder, Dayon, they might not have a big enough market. Sony Michel, we get that. But that's how tight the budget is, and that's where the Rams are at as we kind of give an overview going into the 2022 offseason. But don't freak out, guys. Don't get all worked up in terms of thinking that the Rams don't have anything. The Rams got plenty, and they got plenty to work with. And so keep the faith. Don't worry. It's going to be really interesting to see how they pull all this off. Again, I'm Joe Terosian. This is RamView. Thank you so much for clicking on. Thank you so much for sharing, for the comments you've left, the private ones. Feel free to leave public ones, but I'm really looking forward to continuing this. And very soon we'll be morphing this also into a podcast. All right. And all right, folks, God bless. Thanks for clicking on, and we will talk to you soon.